Thank you for joining us for our online broadcast. We know that today is going to be a great day. To stay up to date with all things Remedy, download our app in the iTunes or Google Play Store. Once it is downloaded, take a moment and fill out the welcome card so we can get to know you better and answer any questions you might have. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date. If you would like to partner with us financially, you have 3 options. You can give in our app under the Give tab, or by texting Remedy Life to 77977, or by visiting our website at remedylifechurch.com/give. Thank you so much. Now enjoy the rest of the worship experience.
Come on, how many of you guys appreciate the worship team? Man, they do such a good job. They're in here working all during the week, and I'm telling you, they are tirelessly working to make sure that you guys have a great worship experience. And most of them are volunteer. All of them are volunteers except our worship pastor. And I'm telling you, they're in here, and they're like, these people need to have a great worship experience. Isn't that awesome? That they're thinking about you before you're thinking about them. They're thinking about you before you ever show up. It's just awesome, right? Isn't that great? It's so great. I'm so thankful for them, and they do such a great job. Hey, and we also want to welcome our online audience. We have a number of people watching online right now, and or that will watch the replay, and we just want to say welcome to the Remedy experience. Come on, somebody. To the Remedy experience. Yes, we believe we're going to do something great in this planet, but we're going to start with this region and do something great here. You guys ready? Yeah. How many of you guys had a great week this week? Yeah. Yes? Good things going on? Okay, good. We are going to continue our series on building hope with talking about building a house of hope and encouragement. Building a house of hope and encouragement. And what we're talking about is this whole kind of picture that Jesus drew in one of his messages. He drew this picture in one of his messages where he talked about a story that we call the prodigal son. And in his story called the prodigal son, he described this house. And he described this house, and he said, there's like this house, and there's 2 sons living in the house, and one of the sons ran off and started to live kind of his own life and do his own thing and not be concerned about what his dad thought about him, and he just kind of lived his own life. And Jesus was telling this story in order to give us an illustration where he said, this house is what the church should be like. This house should be like the church, where we are concerned about the son that doesn't really care about what the father thinks at the moment, and he's living his own life, which is like most of us for most of our lives. We don't care about what God thinks about us. We don't care about what, we're just kind of living our own life, right? And Jesus said, I want you to tell this story because I want this to be a moment where you understand the church is not supposed to be just a tabernacle or a temple or anything. I want the church to be a house where they experience God as a father so that when that son comes home, he's able to experience a good homecoming. So that when people come to church, they are able to experience a good homecoming. They're able to experience a loving father who is welcoming them into a house. And so I want to talk about this house for a moment because when we're talking about building hope, we're talking about building the church, but we're talking about building not just a church, but hope in a city. Not just building a place where people gather, but where people are welcome and people are helped and where people are healed. That's important. And we know that's important because that's what Jesus was describing in this moment where he was saying, that my father is like this father who looks on the porch. And I love that he uses the illustration of the porch because the porch is so friendly, isn't it? You know, the porch is not, well, I mean, the porch can be angry. Get off my lawn. You kids, quit playing on my lawn. I mean, it could be that kind of a porch. But Jesus says this porch is like a porch of like, man, I've been waiting for you to come home, right? And so he describes this whole description of the church, and we have to learn how to build the church like Jesus said the church is supposed to be built, because he is the architect. If you like the Matrix, he's the architect, all right? That's what Jesus is. He's the architect and the builder. So he's building the church. And unless we build how he is wanting us to build, the laborers labor in vain. So we need to understand how he's wanting to build the church. So he tells this story, and it's such a powerful story. I love the story that he tells, because he tells the story of this kid who runs off, and he's in rebellion, and he's like, man, I just want to go live my own way. I don't care about, like, you know, any of your laws or rules or anything, regulations, anything. I want to go live my own way. And he takes off on living his own life, and he runs out of all his resources, and he ends up in this situation where it says that he's feeding pigs. And what it means is that he took a job, and he's like, well, I don't have any other way to support myself, so I'm going to work at this pig farm. And I'm just going to work here and do what I need to do to feed myself. And it's a bad job. It's feeding the pigs. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever discovered how stinky pigs are, but they stink. And he's feeding the pigs. Pigs, they don't take showers. They don't clean up their slop. They wallow in their slop, right? They're just messy. And so they're feeding. But to the Jewish people at that time, pigs were considered unclean animals, which means they were ceremonially unclean. They were like, it's like blasphemy. It's bad. And this guy's feeding the pigs. And all of a sudden he has this moment where he's like, you know what? My life is not working out like I thought it would work out. And probably none of you have had that moment. None of you have had that moment where you're going, my life is not working out like I thought it would work out. Like seriously, like I thought I would be somewhere else right now in my life. Like I thought I would be, like I thought my marriage would be, I thought my finances would be, I thought my life would be, my career would be. And you have this whole thing where like, my life is not working out like I thought it would. I know none of you have had that experience. But the reality is we all have that moment, right? Where you have that moment where you're going, this is not what I thought life would be. This is not what I thought I would be experiencing right now. How did I end up in this place? And some of you are sitting in here right now, and you don't realize that God drew you here right now to be in your seat right now because you've been asking that question. Why is my life like this when I thought it would be like that? And he's trying to draw you into a place of saying, because you're not living for the purpose that I designed you for. You've tried to figure it out yourself, and that's okay. That's what teenagers do. But it's time to grow up. Because there's a Father who had a plan for your life, who designed you. And that's what Jesus was saying when he was telling this story. He's saying, God is like a father who planned your life and said, I got a whole plan for you. I have a whole design for you. I have a whole scheme for your life. And you're going, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do. And now you're going, this is not what I thought it would become. If you've ever come to the place of being unsatisfied, if you've ever come to the place of just being like, and I've found it funny that you can be satisfied with a lot of areas of your life, but you can have one area. Like you could be making a lot of money, but your marriage sucks. Right? You could be making a good money, marriage good, but your kids' relationship with you is bad. Or you could be working in a good job, even making good money, and you just feel like, I don't like my job. It's funny how you can find yourself dissatisfied with life. And that's where the son found himself. He was dissatisfied. And so he turned and he said, I'm going back to my father's house. Now, just so we get this, what this is an illustration of is it's an illustration of the son turning and going, I want to get back to my father's house, but what it really is going, I want to get back to my creator. I want to get back to my God. I want to get back to the one who made me, who knows why he made me. If a person made a screwdriver, he knows what the screwdriver is for, right? I've been trying to use the screwdriver like a hammer, and it's breaking, right? And it's just like I need to get back to the one who actually made this thing so that I understand why it's made, so that I can find some fulfillment in this thing, right? Jesus is telling this story and saying, this is what the church should be, a place where the lost can come back, find their Father, their Creator, and discover what they were supposed to be in the first place. That's a profound statement. Because sometimes we think the church is supposed to be a place where we sit on the porch and we go, you kids, get that ball off my yard. You're breaking the rules. You kids are a mess. We think it's a place of judgment. And Jesus was going, the church should be a place where people can find the Father who is saying, come home. Come home. Come home. Come home. I'm waiting for you to come home. In fact, he even describes God as this Father. What? Father? He's not like this crazy God out there with thunderbolts going, you've sinned. You've sinned. No, he's a father. He's a father sitting here going, come home. Too many people are afraid to come to church because they fear what God thinks of. Oh, that church, the ceiling will cave in if I go in that church. No, the Father will love you. See, that's the kind of church that we have to build, is this place where people know, come, just come as you are, right? Whatever state you're in. And this Father is standing there. Now, you guys know, most of you know, because I tell the stories all the time, that my son serves in the military. Well, he just went into this program where he was on like lockdown for like 14 days. So for 2 weeks, he had no communication. But he didn't tell me he was going to be out of communication for 14 days. Because where he's stationed, he's not deployed, whatever. And so normally I can communicate with him every day. We text every day. And all of a sudden, he's not texting me back. And a week goes by. He hasn't texted me back. 10 days go by. He hasn't texted me back. Dude, where you at? Right? Because I'm like going, what happened? Like, you always text me immediately. And finally, when he gets back, he goes, oh, sorry, Dad, I was in this thing and they took away our phones and we couldn't talk, but I'm back now. Dude, you got to tell me. You got to tell me. Because I'm a father sitting on a porch going, where's my son? Where's my son? Right? And Jesus is saying that's what God is like. He's a father sitting on a porch going, where are you? Where are you? I haven't heard from you. And he's wanting you to come in. And too many times people think, I can't go to church because God is angry at me. And instead, Jesus is saying, this is what the church is. It's God sitting on a porch going, come in. But what's awesome is it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here at the porch. But I love that he told the story of the house and not like a temple, because a temple is so like pious. We're at the temple. We're being formal. Like we're at the temple, right? We have to all know. No, it's like a house. It's like a home you come home to. It's like and I like to think of the Sunday service as like the porch or even like the foyer. It's like where you kind of come in and you're like, hey, what's going on? Good to meet you. Yeah, I don't know. But then when you really come in, you come into like the rooms of the house. There's like the living room where you can like all enjoy each other and watch games and like, yeah, have a good time. There's the kitchen where people are preparing the meals. Like the kitchen, like we're going to prepare what people are learning about and like the teaching and all that kind of stuff. And then there's like the bedrooms. And the bedrooms are cool because the bedrooms are where you get to know people, right? Not in a weird way. No. Not like that. Not like that. I want you to think of like your teenage years. No, not like that either. All right. No, come on. Because when I used to go to my friend's house, we didn't want to hang out with mom and dad. We would go to their room, right? You go to their room because it's your friend. And it's just like you got 5 or 6 of your friends and you go to your room and you're like blasting like Black Sabbath and you're like, it's like awesome. You're having a good time because it's like your friends. It's like the people that you get along to. And the house is the same way. It's like a house of a bunch of rooms, like small groups where it's just like, I'm getting together with people that are like me. When I went to my friend's house, we didn't go to their brother's or sister's room. It's like we went to their room and we hung out together and talked. Right? Because we were the ones who understood each other. And so you go into, it's like the house. The church is like a house. And the church is like a house with like couple small groups and like single small groups and like, young married, like whatever, college, whatever. It's like people that are in your kind of season of life. And you get together in the bedroom and it's just like, man, let's get to know each other. Let's build some relationship together. That's like the church. So when Jesus is describing this as a house, he's saying, this is what the church should be. Number one, they should find a father that's saying, I want to have a relationship with you. And I'm welcoming you. I'm not condemning you. I'm welcoming you. And that's a beautiful thing. And let's continue the story, because I love this story. I want you guys to know this story probably more than any story of the Bible. Verse 21, his son said to him, the father, wait, did we read the first verse? Okay. I got so fired up in the first service that I don't remember what we've covered in this service. All right, so let's start with the first one. Verse 20. So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming, filled with condemnation and judgment. Wait, is that what your Bible says? You've blown it. You're a sinner. You're messed up. No, it says filled with love and compassion. He, the father, ran to his son, embraced him and kissed him. Embraced him and kissed him. Do you know that when you pulled into the parking lot this afternoon, God was not going, dude, what are you doing here? Are you kidding me right now? You're going to go to church? No, he says, God, and this is Jesus telling us what God is like. He said, God ran and embraced him. Love and compassion. You have no idea how glad God is that you're here right now. You have no idea how glad he is that you're here right now. He's so happy that you came and that you showed up. It's like he was embracing you before you ever got out of your car. That's why it was hard for you to get out of your car. Verse 21, his son said to him, because his son is thinking like he thought before, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But his father said to the servants, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him, and get a ring for his finger and his sandals for his feet. Now, you have to understand the son is coming home going, I'm not like you guys that are already in church, but I'm interested, and I know I need to change my life, and I know I need to turn, but I'm just going to kind of sit here in the back because I don't think that I should be able to be here. But I know something needs to happen in my life. And you guys think I look all right? But my marriage is a mess. My kids are a mess. My finances are a mess. My faith is a mess. And so can I just come in and hide? Can I just come in and hide? He's like, Father, I'm not worthy to be called your son. I'll just be a servant. I'll just come in the back and hide. It's amazing how people come into the house of God. They come into a church and they feel like I'm not worthy to even call you God. And what Jesus was doing when he was telling this story is he said, that's the exact one I'm looking for. And you know what he does? Listen to what he does. He tells the servants. You know who the servants are? The other people in church. The other people in church. The other people that are already in and serving. And he says, put a robe on him. Put a robe on him. But Father, he stinks. He's been with the pigs. He's a mess. He's got bad habits. He's got bad character. He's got all this mess going on in his life. And the father, see, because religious people want to go, thou art not welcomest here. Go taketh a showerist. But Jesus is going, put a robe on him. You know why? You know why? Because he's like, put my cleanness over his dirtiness. Put my cleanness over his dirtiness. And what he tells you and I right now is when the sons and daughters come home, put a robe on them. Don't point fingers at them. Don't accuse them. You know, I heard this story of this pastor that I respect a lot. It was awesome when he first started pastoring. It was so great. I've told you this story before, but for those that are new, you haven't heard it. And he tells this story of when he first started pastoring. And he started pastoring this church, and he was so excited. It was his first Sunday preaching. It was going to be awesome. And it was this little country church out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. And he was so excited. And you know, he was like out in the parking lot watching people start to pull up, ready for their one and only service. They only had one service, a little tiny church. And this car pulls up with this lady, and you can tell she was like a lower income, probably struggling woman. And she gets out of her car and she starts to walk towards the church. And one of the church ladies, thank God we don't have church ladies in our church. Thank God we don't have church ladies in our church. But one of the church ladies shuffled herself out there and looked this lady up and down and said, you know, on Sunday, we wear our Sunday best at this church. And the lady felt so put down that she got back in her car and drove away. And this guy who is a young pastor, who's a very successful pastor now, he said, I never felt such anger in my life. I watched that situation. I said, this is not the kind of church I want to pastor. That lady would be turned away because of the way she looked. See, the church, like Jesus was describing, is this place where it's just the Father is waiting. See, for that son to be coming up the road and the Father to see him and run out to meet him means the Father is sitting on the porch. The Father is sitting on the porch of heaven every single week, and he's waiting for everyone to come home. He's waiting to see you at church. Otherwise, it would be like, hey, Dad, where are you? I'm in the garage. Who's that? But no, he's on the porch. He's on the porch going, when's my son coming home? He's like me when I was out of contact with my son. Like, dude. More exclamation points even every time. He's waiting for you to come home. And when you come home, you should find two things. Number one, you should find encouragement. And I love this. In Hebrews 10:25, it says, let us not neglect our meeting together, which is what we're doing right now. We're meeting together. We're coming together. Let us not neglect this moment that we come together in our Sunday service and in our small group. Let us not neglect this. And he says, don't neglect this as some people are in the habit of doing. Some people just come here and there or whatever. Don't neglect this. He says, but encourage one another. Everyone say encourage one another. Right? Encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. What he says is encouraging one another. That word encouraging, I love this in the Greek, which the New Testament is written in Greek. It's the Greek word parakaleo, which means para, come alongside, and kaleo, to aid, to help, to comfort, and to encourage. Let us not neglect the coming together so that we can parakaleo each other, come alongside each other, aid, encourage, build each other up. Let us not neglect this. So he's saying, don't just stay at the porch. Come in, get in a room with people that you relate with and connect with, and get in a small group and get on the dream team, get around people so that you can parakaleo each other. I remember this couple. I talked to the guy this week. It was so awesome. And they were talking about when they first came in the church. And when they first came in the church, they were on the last straw of their marriage. The last straw. It was over. The wife had taken off her ring. It was like they went to a freedom weekend. They said, if this doesn't work, we're done. But they got into that freedom weekend. And people were able to parakaleo, come alongside and pick them up. There's this illustration in the Old Testament where Moses was interceding while Joshua was fighting the Amalekites. And the Bible says that every time that Moses would lift his arms, Joshua would get victory. And every time his arms would come down, they would come under defeat. And Aaron and Hur grabbed Moses' arms and they would lift him up because when Moses was too weak, his brothers would lift his arms up. And as long as they lifted his arms up, Joshua would get victory in the valley with the Amalekites. And there's something about that story that tells us we need people around us to lift our arms when we feel weak, to lift our arms when we feel frustrated, when we feel like giving up, just to lift our arms and go, I can make it a little bit further, right? And we need the parakaleo. We need the body of Christ around us. We need our brothers and sisters. And you get that in the house. We're not just building a religious gathering. We're building a house where people can come in the door, go into whatever room they belong in, and get some parakaleo. Just, man, I'm feeling weak this week, guys. And the guys go, okay, but you're strong because we're here with you, and they lift your arms with you. Do you have anyone that holds up your arms when you're feeling weak? Are you holding up anybody else's arms when they feel weak? Do you have a parakaleo in your life? That's what the church is. A church is a place where you can find strength and strengthen others when they feel weak. That's building hope. That's building hope. It's building hope because there are a lot of people in this city that don't have that strength. There's a lot of people in this room that don't have that strength. And we have to build a house. When we say we're building hope, we're building a house of hope. We're building a house where people can not just find a welcoming from the Father saying, come on, I'm glad you're home. But they can come into a door and they can get around brothers and sisters like you guys, and they can find people that'll hold their hands up. Because today I can't hold my hands up. But if you guys will hold my hands up, I'll get victory. I know it. And if I'll hold your hands up, you'll get victory. I know it. It's a place of encouragement. Parakaleo. Are you holding anybody's arms up? Do you have people that will hold your arms up when you need them to? And the second thing that we find out in this house is not just a house of encouragement. It's a place to be built up. I love this verse in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. It says, so encourage each other and build each other up. Now you see the encouragement again? That's the parakaleo. It's encourage, hold each other up, and build each other up just as you're already doing. And I love this because the hold each other up is to get the breath back in your lungs. It's to kind of go, okay, we can make it again. We can make it. But the build each other up, and that's a powerful phrase, build each other up, because the definition of that phrase in the Greek is similar to like building a house. It's not like remodeling a house. It's like tearing down a house and rebuilding a new house. So it's not like you're putting in better cupboards. You're demolishing everything and building something better. And the church is designed to be a place where you learn to do life better. You're not just encouraged, you learn to do life better. To go, you know what, this thing that you've been doing, it's gotten you the results that you've gotten, so it's time to change. And if you learn to do it the kingdom way, if you learn to do things God's way, you're going to get better results. And so you get encouraged, but then you get built up with a brand new mindset, a brand new heart that says, this is how we're supposed to be living. And this is how you treat your wife. And this is how you treat your husband. And this is how you raise your kids. And this is how you spend your money. And this is how you do things. And you build your faith and you do all this stuff. And all of a sudden you start to go, all right, now I'm coming into a better life, a better living because of what I'm learning. See, the son came home and the first thing he got was the robe, which meant you're going to cover my mess. And that's going to deal with my identity. But the second thing he got was a ring. And the ring said, now we're going to teach you how to have authority so that the stuff that messed you up before is not going to mess you up again. You're going to have authority to walk on your process. That's why Jesus taught Peter to walk on the water. He said, I want you to learn how to walk on your process. I don't want you to just be safe in the boat. I want you to learn how to overcome. And some of you, you don't just need an escape from your process. You need to learn to stand on your process and go, this thing will never have me again because I'm learning in the house how to have a better life. I'm learning how to think better. I'm learning how to be emotionally intelligent. I'm learning how to live better. And because of that, my life is going to be better. this is the house that God is building. It's a house of hope. It's a house where you learn to think differently about yourself and you learn to live life differently. Yes? It's the robe, it's the ring, it's the identity of the Father. He's not angry, He loves me. And it's the relationship that you begin to have that changes everything. There is a young woman right now, a young actress who's about to get married. And she's going to go from being an American actress to being a princess. And no one in this country cares. Because who cares about the royals over there? But it's amazing that she just got engaged, right? They're going to get married. And now she's going to be a princess. She's going to come into a whole new life because of who she's marrying. Right? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I don't know their names because I really don't care that much. But it makes for an interesting illustration, and I probably should have grabbed their names before I thought about making this as an illustration. But she's getting married to this guy, right? And so now she's going to be a princess. So she has to learn the whole new norms of her new life, right? Isn't that crazy? That's what we are. When we come into Christ, when we have a relationship with Christ, He's the Son of God. We become royalty. And so we have to learn this Father who scares everybody else is my dad. And this house that He has built is for my benefit. And I could learn to be a better person by living in this house. Amen? This is building hope in a city. Anybody want to build this hope? Yeah, come on, somebody. Come on. Let's all stand up. This is why I love building the church. Because it is building hope. It's building hope in a city where we can say, lives are going to be different because we're here. I love the story of that young couple that I told you about that got their breakthrough at a Freedom Weekend. Because not only did that wife put that ring back on her finger, but they got in a small group where they could talk about marriage. They went into one of the bedrooms and they said, let's talk about marriage. Let's talk about being a married couple. So they were not only able to get encouraged, but they were able to get built up and get the knowledge they need to have a better relationship. And because of that, they're a better couple today. That's what we want to build. Encourage and build up. Make you feel better, but then help you get better. It's this whole concept of the robe and the ring where we help people really get better. And if you have an area you need to get better, I guarantee you there's a small group you can get into and talk to some people and get better. I guarantee you. But if you're doing well and a lot of things are going well with you, I guarantee there's a small group you can get into that you can pick somebody's arms up and help them get better and share your wisdom with them and build them up. That's what we want to build as a house. Not a gathering, but a place of hope. A place of hope. Building hope in this city. And when we do that, lives change.
Thank you for joining us today. If you need prayer, we would love to pray for you. Just fill out a prayer request in the Remedy Life Church app under the Connect tab. Also, if you would like to partner with us financially, you have 3 options. You can give in our app under the Give tab, or by texting Remedy Life to 77977, or by just visiting our website at remedylifechurch.com/give. Thank you and have a great week.